All right. Hi, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. And this is going to be a 30-minute Katonah style flow class. We will be working in the shoulders, a little bit in the heart space, doing a few twists, really getting a lot into these 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and dive in. We're actually going to start, for class today, no real props are needed. A block is always helpful to have on the side. We will do a bridge or two at the end. So if you like to do a supportive bridge and you have 2 blocks or 1 block, great, but also not required. Let's go ahead and start lying down on our backs. So find your way to your mat and go ahead and lay on down. And let's take the feet as wide as the mat, the knees together. Close your eyes and place your hands on your body. You can place them on your belly, maybe one hand on belly, one hand on heart. You can even bring them overhead. Just find a positioning that's comfortable and intuitive for you. And then start to take some deep breaths into your body, deep into your pelvis, into your belly, into your torso. And really imagining that the breath could expand in every direction. So you might feel your back pressing into the mat, your shoulders broadening and then contracting. Just allowing yourself a few moments before we really get moving to drop in and really be right here. Taking another full breath in, holding the breath full, and then exhale, let it go. Walk your feet so they're underneath your knees. And then you're going to cross your right ankle over your left thigh. So a figure 4 stretch. This might feel like enough for you today. You can bring your right hand to your thigh and start to gently press that knee forward, opening up the hip. Or if you'd like to take it a little bit deeper, you can interlace the fingers behind that left thigh, drawing the legs in towards your chest, but letting the spine stay on the mat, the lower back stay on the mat, softening through your shoulders. And then you can use your right elbow to press into that right thigh, opening up the hip, opening up that hip joint. Nice. Taking another breath or two here. If you'd like to, you can straighten the leg, maybe move around through the ankle. And then we'll drop the feet back down onto the mat, scoot the hips slightly to the right and take a twist. You can keep the legs crossed or you can undo them. Keep both shoulders down on the mat and look out over to the right. Letting your shoulders soften, letting your jaw soften, and gently twisting through the spine. And then come back through center. Bring the hips back to center, place both feet onto the mat equally, and then left ankle over right thigh, figure 4 on this side. Again, you can stay with the right foot down on the mat, gently pressing into that left thigh, opening up the hip, or you can interlace the fingers behind that right leg. You can use that left elbow to gently press the left knee forward, or you can simply use the muscle of the leg to open it up. See if you're bringing the shoulders along, soften the shoulders. That lower back is still on the mat. If you'd like to, you can stretch that right leg long, maybe taking some circles through the ankle. And then release the foot down, scoot the hips slightly to the left, take a twist. Ooh, you might get a back crack like me. Left arm out, right hand can gently encourage that left leg down. We're not pulling, we're not forcing anything here. We're letting gravity soften and lengthen. Softening the shoulders, softening the jaw, lengthening that spine. Take another breath in and another breath out. Come back through center. Both feet on the mat, square off the hips, and then draw the knees in towards your chest. Give them a squeeze. Grab on behind the thighs, and we'll just rock a few times on the spine, massaging through the spine. And we'll come all the way up to our all fours, our tabletop position. So finding your tabletop, hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. If you do have a block, this is a great place to measure out to make sure that you are at 90 degrees. You're at that really safe, stable angle. And then rooting equally through all four corners of your hands, pressing down through your feet. We'll begin to cat and cow here. So as you inhale, drop your belly, lift your heart, look up. As you exhale, coil and round, press the floor away. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your heart, look up. Exhale, coil and round. Continue to move between your cat and cow. And as always, you can speed it up. Immediately starting to light your own fire here, creating some more heat, some more fluidity and movement in the body. Maybe adding the breath, going a little bit faster. And going past that place of comfort, not forcing, not hurting, but challenging yourself to go beyond what you know, go beyond what's comfortable or what's easy. Pause in the middle, take a deep breath in, look forward, and a deep breath out. We're gonna do some wrist work here. Whenever we open up the wrist is like a little mini collarbone. So when we open up the wrist, we're also inherently opening up the shoulders. So we're gonna start here. You'll be in your tabletop position still. And then flip your right wrist around 180 degrees. Flip your left wrist around 180 degrees. So your fingers face back towards your knees. Notice if you tend to lock your elbows, give them a little bend if so. And if this is impossible for you, like you cannot get your hands around, you can bring them around halfway, although eventually we do want them to come around full 180 degrees. And then look forward, imagine your collarbones spreading out towards either side, broadening through the front of your chest. And we'll start to take our cat-cows here with the wrists flipped. So inhaling and exhaling. If you'd like to, you can switch the breath. So it's an inhale as you go in and exhale as you go out. Just a different technique to play with. And then noticing what's going on. All we did was switch the wrists, maybe you switched the breath, noticing what's different here in this shape. Speeding it up or working it really slow, but feeling the sensation in your wrists and keeping that openness in the collarbones, in the shoulders. Let's go for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in, look forward, and exhale, release. Flip the left or the right wrist around, the left wrist around so that you are facing forward once again. Nice, just noticing what might feel different, what might feel the same. And then we're gonna interlace the fingers to the webbing and place them underneath the sternum. So they're a little bit further back. They're not underneath the nose, they're underneath the sternum. Again, looking forward, but this time we're gonna take circles with the hips, pressing down through all four corners of your palm. So the inner wrist, the outer wrist, the ball of the pointer finger knuckle, the ball of the pinky finger knuckle. And this can start in your hips. It's initiated from your hips, but you might start to get the shoulders and the head and the neck involved in a really natural way. So the movement comes from the hips and it might travel up the spine, up to the shoulders, up to the head. And don't force it, don't think too much about it, just move. Really starting to create fluidity and space in the spine, warming up through those shoulders. Switch directions, so go in the opposite direction, counterclockwise. First, start with the hips. Make sure that you are taking those big full circles. And then if the shoulders, if the head and the neck want to get involved, let them get involved. Ooh, I really feel the heat coming up here. Keeping an openness even as you move. Nice, come back through center. Pause. You can stay right here if you'd like. Actually, let's all try this variation. Flip the palms over. So just like the wrist is a little mini collarbone, the hand is also connected to the back. Everything in the body follows a pattern. So we open the wrist, we open the collarbones. This hard shell of the hand is connected to the hard shell of the back. So we're gonna start to iron that out. Keeping the fingers interlaced, you'll flip the palms once so that you come up on top of the hands. You might just start to iron out through the hands here, either moving in circles or moving forward and back. If you'd like to take this one step further, you'll flip the palms once again. So my thumbs are going forward and then back towards my knees. This is a big one for the inner wrists. And there's no particular pattern here. Again, you can take circles, you can rock a little forward and back, just starting to open up through those wrists. Yeah, this is a big one. And especially great if you do a lot of texting or typing or using those thumbs. This is a good way to open those wrists back up. Nice. Taking another breath or two here, feeling the burn, feeling the stretch, feeling the openness. And then come back, you'll flip back onto the backs of the palms or the tops of the hands. And then interlace the fingers regular underneath you. Come back to your normal cat and cow, so hands come forward. And let's just go forward and back 25 times. So you can go really fast, feeling the difference of having those hands planted into the mat forward, what might feel easy, what might feel more open. Let's go for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Nice. All right, one more thing down here before we start to work our way up. Tuck your toes and come to sit back on your heels. So the toes are tucked. This is called toe breaker pose in many yoga lineages. It's not actually going to break your toes, but it might feel like it. If it's super, super intense for you, you can take your block or a book or even a little rolled up blanket or towel and put that between your seat and your heels. We're going to do a breath of fire here. I'm just going to turn around so you can see what I'm doing with my arms. Toes stay tucked. Arms will come up into a V. Hands will form cups. So we're going to use the breath now to continue to build our fire, heat ourselves up, and we can use that energy to move. Breath of fire is a sharp exhale out through the nose. It's a pumping of the diaphragm, pumping of the belly in and up. The focus is on the exhale. If anyone is pregnant, or if you're on the first stage or two of your menstrual cycle, you might want to skip this one and just stay here breathing long and deep. But for everyone else, we're going to do 50 count of breath of fire. So take a full breath in and a full breath out. Inhale halfway and then begin to pump the breath. So all on the exhale, the belly is pumping out, 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 out. Feeling the heat that you're creating, the heat, the energy that you are moving out. And know this will be over soon. So whatever sensations are coming up, continue to breathe through them for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in, hook the thumbs above your head. Take in 3 more little sips like you're sipping through a straw. And then exhale, the breath goes out the crown of the head. Release the arms down. Release the block if you have it. Release your feet. Come back into tabletop. You can tap the tops of your feet onto the mat. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to your feet. And then tuck your toes. Send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Come on out to a plank pose, shoulders over wrists, heels reach straight back. So you're in one long line for your plank. And then bend your knees and your hips up and back, down dog. You can pedal out your down dog, finding some movement in this first dog, finding some space, pressing the floor away, really lifting the hips up. You'll notice I have a generous bend in my knees. That allows me to use my legs and really get out of the back. Get out of just using my shoulders, the strength of my shoulders, and allowing them to open up. Inhale, come forward to your plank pose. This time, drop your hips, lift your heart, modified upward facing dog. Heels are still firing back, so I'm not sinking all the way down to my mat. My legs are strong and active. And then use your core and the hinge of your hips to send it back to a dog. Keep looking forward now as we move between these two shapes. Inhale, come forward and through modified upward facing dog. Toes stay tucked, heart forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 more. Inhale, forward and through, up. Exhale, down. And 1 more. Inhale, forward and through, upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. Hips go up and back. Take a full breath in. Let a full breath go. Inhale, come forward to your plank. Drop your knees to the mat for just a moment. We're gonna do one more thing here. Flip your right wrist around, flip your left wrist around, and then tuck your toes to come back into your plank with your wrists flipped. So if this is too much for you, just stay in your tabletop, but this is a nice challenge. You can move a little forward and back. If you want a real challenge, you can bend the knees, lift the hips up for a flipped wrist down dog. Nice. And then drop your knees, flip your wrists, take a moment. If you want to take a child's pose, we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Hips up and back. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. Start to walk your feet up to your hands or your hands back towards your feet to come into a hang. Again, I'm going to turn forward just so you can see me. Feet are hips distance, 2 fists apart. Grab onto opposite elbows. Let yourself relax over your thighs. Let your head, your neck, your shoulders release. Switch which arm is on top, so it's the opposite elbow. Then find your feet. Let your upper body hang, let gravity stretch you out. And then interlace your fingers at the base of your spine. Lift the hands up. Press the heels of the hands together if you can. Taking those hands up and over. Again, just getting a deeper stretch into the shoulder blades. And then release the hands down. Super slowly roll all the way up to stand. Reach your arms up. I'm just going to come down onto my knees for a moment so you can see here. I'm going to wrap my hands, so cross my wrists and then interlace my hands above my head. You'll stay standing here, finding your Tadasana, lifting up. Feet again, hips with distance. And then just start to take some little movements, some little circular movements from like the diaphragm up, creating some space, some fluidity there. Giving your head, your brain a little squeeze. And then come back through center, lift up, release your arms down. Drop your head, drop your chin, and roll all the way down. Coming back into your forward fold. You'll turn towards the long edge of your mat and grab on, and we're gonna do some wide-legged folding here. We're gonna do some folding, some twisting, and then we're gonna wrap things up. I know 30 minutes goes so quickly. So walk your feet out so they're a little wider than hips distance. So they're not like as wide as your mat, but you've got a pretty wide stance. And then fingertips are gonna come out in front of you. For this one, toes are gonna be slightly in, heels slightly out, so it's just slight pigeon toe. Bend in your knees, buttock bones back, hands forward. It's almost like a little football stance or a short and wide downward facing dog. Nice. Finding that length in your sideways, keep sending your buttock bones back, finding your feet. And then right hand will go underneath your nose. Left arm is gonna reach up towards the ceiling. Pull that right hip back so the hips stay level as you swim that left arm over, reaching over, following your hand with your vision until the left hand comes down. Left hand underneath nose, start to twist to the other side, right arm reaches up. Pull that left hip back so that the hips stay level. You're twisting from your torso. Right arm reaches over, 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 following it with your vision. Hand down. One more time each side. Left arm reaches up, reaching over. Maybe you reach out a little bit further, so there's a back bend here too. And then right arm up one more time as your left hand stays down. Right arm reaches over, reach out, drop the hand down. Fold into yourself. You can shake your head yes, no, release through the arms. Walk your feet back in so they are, again, just a little bit wider than hips width distance. You're gonna grab for your left ankle with your right hand and your right ankle with your left hand. So your left arm is on top. You'll walk your feet out as wide as they can go while you still maintain that grip. Still maintain that grip. Slight bend in the knees, buttock bones back. We're gonna continue this twist, this trunk rotation, and also add in a deeper shoulder opener here. So you'll turn your right foot out towards the front of your mat, or maybe towards the back of your mat, but towards the side. Left foot will step in or step out to the side 45 degrees. And then that left elbow is gonna lift up, up, up towards where that right foot is pointing. Maybe you start to look underneath that left armpit out towards the short edge of your mat. The right knee presses into the right shoulder, deepening the twist. So you're giving yourself an assist here. Breathing into that left side waist, breathing into that left shoulder blade, taking another round in and another round out. Come back through center, square off the feet so the toes are pointing forward. Switch which arm is on top. So this time your right arm is gonna be on top. Left toes turn towards the short edge of your mat. Right foot steps in and out. So it's like a 45 degrees, like a short warrior one. That right elbow lifts up as you look underneath it, looking towards that short edge of your mat. Use your left knee to press in to your left shoulder. This is my favorite twist, probably because it's a twist and a shoulder opener. Taking another breath in here to that right side waist and a breath out, release, come back through center. Release the arms. And then find your way back into a downward facing dog. Downward facing dog, pedaling it out. Forward and through to your upward facing dog with your toes tucked, heels fire back. And then send it back, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. Drop your knees down to the mat. come to sit back on your heels, and then come to lay down onto your back. So like I said, we're gonna end with a few bridges, and that will be it. If you do have a block or two, you're gonna wanna bring them back so that you have them easily accessible. Bend your knees and find your way down to your back. Walk your feet in so that they are underneath your knees. You can reach for your heels with your fingertips. Finding a moment here just to settle down, to find your feet. I know we just did a bunch of twisting, some moving. Press your hands into the mat. Press your shoulder blades into the mat. Press your feet into the mat. And then lift your hips up. Lift your hips up. So let's stay here for a moment, all in this more traditional bridge. Pressing the arms down. And then imagine that your knees are lengthening away from you. Your knees are lengthening away from you. You're getting more space in the front body, more space in the spine. And then roll back down your spine, coming onto your back. Taking a moment. And we'll do one more. Actually, we're gonna do two more. Two more. So I'll give a different offering for each. Press your feet into the mat, lift your hips up, bridge. If you'd like to, you can interlace your fingers underneath your spine, walk your shoulders underneath you so this becomes a little bit a higher bridge, more of a shoulder stretch. Once again, press all four corners of your feet into the mat. Imagine your knees tracking away from you. So not opening up, they're pointing straight forward, tracking away from you. You're lengthening or creating more space in your spine. Release your arms out, slowly come down, take a moment. And then this final variation, you can do either of the variations we did before. If you have a block or two, you can place a block underneath your sacrum for a more restorative bridge. So if you're coming into that restorative variation, you'll lift your hips up, sliding one block on the lowest, widest height. That might feel like enough for you. I personally like to go a little higher, so I'm gonna bring two blocks, and it's right underneath the sacrum, giving me a lift. Arms can be down by your side. Sometimes I just like to rest my hands on my hips. That contact feels nice. And if you're in the more restorative variation, can you let your weight drop into that block? Can you let something go? Taking a full breath in, deep into your belly, and a full breath out. One more inhale. And exhale. Press into your feet, lift your hips, remove your blocks if you have them, roll down. And then we're gonna end just as we began. Walk your feet out, knees come together. Bring your hands somewhere on your body. It may be where they were when you began. Or perhaps there's a different placement. Taking a few really deep belly breaths here. Maybe doing a quick scan of the body and just noticing what might have shifted, what might have changed from when we began. Is there anything from this practice, any insights or thoughts you might have had that you want to take with you through the rest of your day, the rest of your evening? Is there anything that you'd like to leave here? Let's take one more breath in together, breathing deep, inhale. Breathing deep, exhale. Draw your knees into your chest, give them a squeeze. Rock and roll up your spine. Come up to sit. And that's class. Thank you all so much for joining me. For those of you here live, for anyone watching this replay, recording at a later time, thank you for taking the time for you. Bye, folks.